Hi everybody, welcome to Ohmygosh Treasures, and today my assistant and I, my lovely camera lady, are going to take this free clock that we got. Somebody just gave it away, put a battery in it and it works. We're going to take it and we're going to do something with pallets to kind of make it look a little bit nicer. So take a good look at it now, and we're going to show you a process of how to make it wider. We need it to go on a big wall, so we need to make it wider. And the way we're going to do that is with some pallets. And right here we have some boards that we've already pounded the nails out of, and they're about the same width. You want to make sure all your boards are the same width. And we're going to lay these boards out. And what I want to do is make like a backer board to put the clock on. So we want to make it a little bit wider than the clock, so we're going to go ahead and take the clock and put it on here. Yep, that looks about wide enough. And you can either stagger your boards or make them straight. We're going to make them straight. So what I want to do is take another board, put it at the edge, and push all the boards down so I can make sure I know where to draw my line. And my lovely assistant is going to put the camera on the tripod and help me. So she can take another board and put it at the top and push all these boards down for me so they're nice and straight, and they don't have to fit together perfectly. Who cares if they're a little bit bowed? We want it to look rustic and old. So I'm going to set this across here. That's straight. Set the clock in. Yep, that looks about right. So what we want to do is we want to make a line so that we can make all of our cuts the same. So we're going to take a pencil and draw across here where we want our lines. Basically, all you really have to do is get the line drawn on one board, and I'm going to show you how to make a jig for your chop saw so that every board is the same. Okay, we're over at the chop saw, and what I have here is a nice, smooth, squared off piece of wood. Actually, it's a piece of oak. My husband made this for me to use as a block. Make sure it's straight against the edge here. And I'm going to take my first piece of wood where I've drawn my line. I can see my line right there. Put it underneath the chop saw. Line it up to where it needs to be. Okay. Hold on to it. Put this block of wood flush against the edge of it. Clamp it down. And make your cut. So now, every board that I put in there is going to cut in that same spot. And I'm going to go ahead and cut these, and we'll go to the next step. Okay, so we have all of our boards cut, and we do have a short one here in the middle. That's just how it is whenever you're working with pallets. So we're going to make up the difference of that whenever we put our cover board on to attach all these boards together. So what I want to do now, I want this flush with the edge, straighten it up, and then make a mark where I need to cut this off. And then I'll take this one and the one for the top and cut them both the same size. Alright, so we've got these cut, and we're going to go ahead and do a dry fit. make sure everything fits perfectly, which it does. And go ahead and set the clock in the middle of here, see how it's going to look. I'm thinking that's going to look great. So the next thing we need to do is get the brad nailer out and the glue. Alright, so now we're going to take our tight bond wood glue and put a little bit of glue on this surface all the way across. And then the board that we're going to lay across here, we want to go ahead and put some glue on the back of it. It's best to glue both sides of your surfaces for the best stick. So lay that on there. And all the boards are lined up. And I actually did put some pieces of wood underneath of here, and I let them hang over, let these boards hang over it, because these brads, these are the shortest brads I have, but they still may go through. I don't want them to hit the table, and I don't want them to hit the wood that I have raising it, so I've got them hanging over. And I'm going to get this squared up on the edge. And, well, wait a minute. Let me get my safety glasses. Okay, and go ahead and make sure it's lined up. Make sure your hand is not underneath it there. Alright, we ran into a little problem whenever we were doing this. When we got the board on the other end, nice and square, all the edges matched up, we put the board on the opposite end, and we had a gap on this side. So that's going to happen a lot with pallets. So what you need to do is get your clamp, make sure you have a nice long clamp, squeeze the boards together until they're all square. And then we'll go ahead and brad this one. Okay, so we've brad nailed all the boards together on both ends. I flipped it over, and the brads did stick out just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is take these cutters, and I'm not really sure that they're nail cutters, but that's what I use them for. They work great for that. And I'm just going to cut off where they're sticking out. And once you get them cut off, you take a hammer and just make sure that they're not jagged. Alright, we're going to go ahead and put the clock on here again just to make sure it looks fabulous, and it does. Okay, so now we're ready for staining, and the stain that I have is mixed up in a coffee can that I got for free. I got paint and stain for free from somebody I know, which I'm sure there's plenty of people around that you could contact that has a half a gallon of this or a half a gallon of that they're going to throw away, and you can use it. I don't care if the paint has been frozen. I don't care if it's been sitting out for 5 years in the outdoors. As long as it's had the lid on it, you can still use it. And that's what I did. So I basically mixed about 3 different color stains in here, and I even put some paint thinner in here to thin it out a little so it'll stretch a little bit further. And just a little cheap $1 brushes that you can get at the hardware store or Walmart. And basically go over the whole thing. Now we haven't sanded it or anything yet. We're just going to go over the whole thing with stain and let that dry. Alright, we got a coat of stain on here, thanks to my lovely assistant, Daria.
That's right.
And we're going to... Now this technique is a technique that we just made up because we wanted this wood to look old. Now I got to tell you, whenever we first started out, so far, you just stay right here. Don't follow me with the camera. I hate when you follow me everywhere I go.
I'm going.
No, just stay right here on the shit.
I
All right, see? All right. So, this is what the wood looked like before. And this is what it looks like now. So,
it's beautiful.
just to let you know,
I like it.
give a little comparison there. So, what we've done is we've taken a little bit of white paint.
They saw the wood before, just saying.
I know, but they didn't see it like beside this.
Comparison.
Yeah, comparison.
I got you.
So, this paintbrush isn't like the nicest paintbrush. Like I said, you just use garbage to make stuff. You know, one man's
What year do you
trash
think that is?
is another man's treasure. What year?
Yeah,
What?
the paintbrush.
What year is it?
Yeah,
It's from 2014.
it looks like 60s. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
But anyway, so I put some white paint and some water. It's very watery. Okay. This stain isn't, so to speak, dry, but it's only been on there for maybe about, I don't know, 25 minutes. So it doesn't really matter. But anyway, you get your brush soppy.
Could you let them know what we did to the stain after we brushed it on?
Okay, we wiped it with a rag.
Getting all the extra off.
Yeah, and this is just an old t-shirt, another recycled old t-shirt. So, another recycled thing. We recycle everything. So then anyway, you just take your white paint and you just go all over it with a paintbrush. And that's why you don't need a fancy paintbrush or anything, because if you do, then you're going to mess it up. So, and it kind of needs to be messed up. And you just, whoopsie, you just go all over the wood with the whitewash, watery white paint. And I know some of you are probably like, oh my gosh, it looks so pretty. Why is she doing that? Well, we're wanting it to look really aged. And this is how you get that. So, then make sure you have a container, spray bottle, whatever, which we recycled that too. An old cleaning bottle, cleaners stuff, and I just put water in it. And you want to spray that on there. Another recycled product. Just keep it pretty wet and smeary. Okay, and then just do these. All right. So now that you got all that on there, whoops, make sure it don't spill. Well, if my assistant would like help me.
Your assistant's busy right now.
Okay, and then you just take a recycled t-shirt and wipe it. And just look at the beauty. This looks like it came out of a,
Looks like it came from where the paintbrush came from.
yeah, like 100 years old. And why is it that we all like this old looking stuff now? But whenever our grandparents had it, we were like, oh my gosh, that's so ugly. And now everyone likes it. So, just take a look at that, how beautiful it looks. And then you do want to kind of take the rag over it and go in the same direction, because you don't want swirls. You don't want no one to know that you actually aged.
You got
this
swirls
wood.
over here.
Some swirls are okay, because that's the grain of the wood. So there. Alright, so here it is. After we got all that on there, I wiped it off with the nasty old t-shirt rag. I smeared it all in there. And then I did go over it again with a little bit more white on top of it, and I wiped it again to give it this hazy old look. Now, we're going from this to this. I love it. You're going to love it too. Now we're going to, I'm going to do a little bit of sanding on the edges to rough the edges of it up. And then we have one more thing to do after that, and you're going to love that one. Stay tuned. Okay.
Lift that up.
That looks fabulous. Brush it off. Okay. So now I'm going to do my favorite thing, which is called paste wax, and it's made by Minwax. And basically all you do is, well, first you got to get the lid off, which, hold on a sec, let me get my little lid puller offer. This is something that I guess old timers used to use, and they'd put on their wood floors back in the day, in their old farmhouses, and it just gives it that smooth, matte finish. And I guess you could polish it just like you were to polish a car. Just say you were going to put Mother's paste wax on a car, and you got to rub it in and then buff it off. That's kind of the same thing you do with this. You can actually use this on any paint finish, or raw wood finish, or stained finish, but you can't paint over it. It would have to be sanded. We're not going to be doing that. So anyway, I'm going to show you, I'm going to just do half of this board so you can see how much richer it makes it look if you just do half the board.
Protects the wood too, correct?
Yes. Oh yeah, and it also protects it. And you can use this on top of the chalk paint, which I'm going to show you how to make your own DIY chalk paint, because it costs about $40 for a quart. And I'm going to show you how to make your own. And if you put this over top of chalk paint, it just looks gorgeous. So here we go. Here's the, and like I said, the more you rub it, just like wax, for your car, it looks better. But you can see the difference in how dark and more rich it looks over here, and over here it's still a little bit lighter. So, alright, well I'm going to go ahead and finish paste waxing all of this, and I'll show you the finished project. Okay, we've got it done. I got it sitting up here on a little makeshift shelf. We are going to put a shelf underneath of it whenever we hang it on the wall. But I wanted to show you a little trick on how to hang things. You take a paint stick, which is an old used paint stick, and you put a screw through the paint stick and let it stick out about a ½ inch on each side, so that what we're going to do is we're going to hang our clock on the front of here as if this was the wall. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. So I'm going to take the screw, stick it in so that I can put it up here, get it centered to where I like it. And this is really good if you're hanging something that has 2 screws or 2 hangers on it. And then what you do is you get it centered where you want it, and that looks pretty good. And then you push. And when you push, it leaves a hole in the wood of where you're, from the screw that was sticking out. So that's where you need to put your screw hole. And that's what I'm going to do. Go ahead and pre-drill it where I put my little indent. Make a little pilot hole so you don't split the wood. Use a screw that's not going to come through the back. And put your screw in. And then hang your picture, your clock, whatever. There you go. Finished product. Make sure you subscribe to our channel on YouTube to watch more instructional videos on how to make stuff out of pallets. This so far was totally free. Our total cost, $0.